We'll come to the point. The theme of discussion is India and the world looking back to look ahead. And it's not going to be full with the speeches and all. I will be asking the questions, cross questions and all. So starting from Mr. Rasheed Kidwai, who's a very, very busy person. Of course, I will be politically and technically correct, and I will go this way. So first to you, Rasheeda, what do you think the India and the world looking back to look ahead when the 47th President of the United States of America has taken over the charge? And in the previous session, we have heard that what is keeping in the store for all of us, be it being the industry or any sector, journalism or anything, wherever from we come. What do you think that how it is going to transform the world? Donald Trump phenomena.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you, my fellow panelists. The topic is very, I would say, very comprehensive, and it covers a range of issues such as our history, heritage, civilizational ethos, the kind of governance we had, that the innovations in the field of art, technology, architecture, mathematics. You can range anything, philosophy, religion, everything is included in it. So it is very difficult for me to actually make a specific thing. But friends, in a very substantive terms, let us look at this way, that we have always been, so to say, great. We are and will continue to be. Why? Because we have given so many things to the world, from the from Aryabhat's zero to the kind of religious tolerance that we have had. There is no nation that has so many faiths and followers in great many numbers. Look at Europe, the kind of minorities that we are talking about is 2%, 4%, 1%, 3%, and in India, it's, if you look at it, quantify, for instance, the Muslims in India alone are the second largest in the world. So in that sense, in terms of sheer number, and look at the kind of history of what I would say common bonding, common heritage, the kind of not just about Sufi culture, food, literature, dress sense. The other day we were just talking about some debate on the Urdu language, that whether Urdu belongs to whom or so. And I was telling my friend that there are 64 versions of Ramayana that have been written in Urdu, which have before Hindi became what Hindi is today, and since Urdu was a sort of not an official language, but it was a language that was spoken and written by many people. So we have a huge body of literature, from Hanuman Chalisa to all those religious texts. It's not just about Islam, but a fair amount, as I said, 64 versions of Ramayana have been written in Urdu, and a lot of things are there. So if we look back in our history, of course, there have been some very disturbing periods and some very trying times we have had. This is not to brush it under the carpet, but we have survived at a civilizational level. And similarly, our present, as Mr. Modi himself had said once, the glass being half full or half empty, I would say the glass is more than half full, and we are making a lot of strides, not only just of economy, technology. Look at all the tech companies in the world, the kind of demonstration India has. The future looks very bright, because we have a very young population till about 2050. It's just that we must realize our own potential and our growth story.
On a different note, would you like to also say a few words about your latest book that is on Nagarwala scam? Would you like to also enlighten all of us?
He is referring to the book I wrote recently. It was about Nagarwala affair, that first sort of scam that had taken place. Nowadays, friends, all of us face this thing that a mobile phone comes, and if we don't respond it to in a proper manner, we can be deprived of some money. So it is happening in the type of technology that economic frauds are taking place with the over phone. But the economic fraud of a very big nature had taken place in 1971. In May, somebody mimicked Indira Gandhi, who was a Prime Minister, her voice to State Bank of India, and the chief cashier gave away 60 lakh rupees. Staggering amount at that time. I have calculated it is about over 150 crores at present, and he gave it to somebody who was mimicking Indira Gandhi's voice, and that's why it's called Nagarwala. Nagarwala was the person who had supposedly mimicked, and then he was caught, money was recovered, trial took place, and he died in custody. And so there was a lot of pointers were there, as if it was a judicial killing or Indira Gandhi had a role. So the Morarji Desai government came and they had a commission of inquiry, Reddy Commission, but the Reddy Commission gave clean chit to Indira Gandhi. But the case remains unresolved and unsolved. So I have written a book on that. So that is what he's referring to. But what I'm saying is, again, there is a link from past to present and future, that economic offenses were taking place with the help of technology earlier also, and now all of us are facing that problem.
Read that book and also other books written by Rasheed, sir, because he's a tireless writer, and many of us are tireless readers also, and that made to the real point while being in a lit fest like BLF. Thank you. Because of paucity of time, I'm not being able to continue for long. But I really wanted to have a long chat with you. Without getting politically incorrect, I will go to Archana Gupta ji, who is the author and business leader. He's part of our community also. Thank you. Please proceed. Thank you for being here, first of all. Thank you. Please.
So, I think a lot of us are, thinking that India is now going to claim its rightful place in the world, which was, say, stolen from us. If you see the history of India, we more or less always accounted for 25% of world population and slightly more than 25% of world GDP. Till about 1800, we were probably the highest per capita income country in the world, along with China, because, we are blessed with very fertile lands, and as one foreign traveler, François Bernier, put it, the genius of the people is such that all the gold in the world comes to rest in India, because we produced so many goods which everybody wanted. Has India punched above its weight? We had a 25% weight. But have we punched above our weight in history? Yes. Because Indian thought, Indian religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, went outside India, and more or less throughout the last couple of thousand years, 50% of the world followed Indic religions. So really, you can say, in a way, we were Jagat Guru. Indian religions, and you have a concept of an Indosphere. So in Asia, you have a Sinosphere and an Indosphere. And there was an entire Southeast Asia, from Afghanistan to Southeast Asia, you had an Indosphere, where Sanskrit was a bridge language. You read about, for example, there are records of a king of Champa. Champa is South Vietnam, and the names are, you go there, the cities are called, kings are Indravarman, cities are called Pandurang, things like that. There was a king called Ganga Raja, who abdicated and came to India because he wanted to do a darshan of the Ganga. So that is recorded in the 4th century. If you go to these places, that's when you realize the impact India and Indian culture, Indian language had, and this is without conquest. This is just the beauty of ideas which captured these people. Is it, besides this, Indian medicine, of course, all of us know about how advanced we were in the field of medicine. Sushrut as a surgeon, and I'll give you an example. In 2 examples from world history, which we know about Indian medicine, India was the first country to do plastic surgery, especially nasal reconstruction. There is a story in Byzantine history from the 5th century. There was a king called Justinian II. There was a struggle for succession, and his nose was cut off by his relatives who took power. Since a person with a cut nose could not be king, he went away, and then he came back with a nose. And he was called Justinian Rhinomatos, and he took power again. The way nasal reconstruction was done in India, they used to cut a flap from the forehead, turn it around, and build the nose. If you see statues of Justinian Rhinometos, you can see the triangular scar on his head. So we know, it was called the Indian nose, and we know about that. The Harun al-Rashid and the Arab Caliphate in Baghdad built an important hospital, and the head of the hospital was an Indian Brahmin called Kank. Because Indian medical technology is something that we gave the world. Now, given the topic that we have, that India, looking to the past to go to the future, what is it that India gave to the world? It gave mathematics, it gave astronomy, it gave medicine. I think Indian pharmaceutical companies are the torch bearers of India. Indian IT companies, which comes out of mathematics, is again a torch bearer. Indian textiles were we still are very strong. So in many ways, what was in our past is going into our future. And I see no reason. If you last 200 years, 250 years, we were not keeping up with the world economy in terms of average per capita income, but these things will right over time, because there is no reason why our people are as capable as any people in any country. So I think we are definitely going to see a righting of the balance over time, and in our past lies our future, but not only in our past. With current effort, current industry, current energy, things don't come easily. This is a very big world. With China, the books I've written, when you write about Indian history, China is an integral part of Indian history, but they always saw us as a holy land because we were the land of Buddha. That relationship, Mao once said that to an Indian, that we have lived under 2,000 years of Indian cultural imperialism, but no more. So this is a relationship which has been a strong and good relationship in the past. It is now antagonistic, but again, we have that relationship, and if we can cultivate it, there is a way forward for everything.
Yes. Thank you for keeping it so holistic. Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. And now I will move to think tank. Before I will turn to my two friends who are the full-time journalists who can really adhere to the timeline. But before that, I will request Akanshya to kindly refer to the main subject and from the lens of, from bilateral and sub-regional lens. How you people are looking from Nepal while being in Gurgaon.
Okay. Thank you, Atul, PhD Chamber, and the organizers of Banaras Lit Fest. And congratulations to Dr. Jitendra Singh. Seems like a good book. I also request you to do one, talk on the CSR in Kathmandu too, because of the giant, corporates that are based there. It would be very, very relevant. I'll just quickly come to the topic. Much has been already said, but I think when you say India and the world, what you actually mean is the larger connectivity that India has with the world, and as a rising economic power, the opportunities and challenges ahead. It has already been spoken of. I will limit it to South Asia, especially Nepal. I come from Kathmandu, so that's why. The second part of the topic also says looking back to look ahead, which I'm thinking means that India needs to do some kind of introspection in terms of its dealing in the neighborhood. Because if you largely look at India's relation in the neighborhood, I don't think so everything is smooth. Bangladesh is a massive challenge. Everything is not smooth in Nepal, also because there's so much of political instability in Nepal. And I think so is also the case in Sri Lanka and Maldives. So, in middle of all these, I think there is a larger negative perception on India's role in the neighborhood, which needs to be, I think, tackled immediately. And then, in middle of all, the challenges, we have episodes like what happened in Kalinga. Just imagine a situation where 1,169 Nepali students are just told to pack their bags and leave the campus. I mean, I can't even imagine the magnitude of, the impact it could have on bilateral relations. It actually, set the ball rolling. We had our Prime Minister and the Foreign Ministry involved. But one thing I must say, I think Odisha government has been really forthcoming. They took up the issue. Now the complete cases are under investigation. A precious life was lost. And, all of us know that how sensitive the relationship between the two countries are. Even some slight, episodes can really, you can have people come down in the streets in Kathmandu. We've witnessed that before. So I think the authorities must be a little more sensitive towards these issue. Because Nepal-India relation, as you know, is completely driven at the people's level. It is irrespective of what the government-to-government dialogues are, but the people-to-people connect really stays. That's why I just want to come back to Banaras, because we are here to celebrate the fest. I think relation between Kathmandu and Banaras, for instance, is as old as the cities themselves. We've had like renowned artists, Nepali artists from Banaras. Our greatest of poet, Bhanu Bhakta, lived in Banaras. Motiram Bhatta. Yes, so many of them. And not to forget our leaders like Bishweshwar Prasad Koirala, as General Saab was mentioning. Yes, all three brothers, all the three former prime ministers of Nepal lived and studied in Banaras. And you can see Bishweshwar, which I think is a deity, a local deity in Banaras. I mean, the relationship has been that close. And, I think the whole concept with Banaras is associated with purity. If you talk to anybody in Nepal and talk about Banarasi, once in a lifetime they have to reach Banaras, So it's a spiritual connect which needs to be built on. I would suggest that the Banaras Lit Fest tie up with Nepal Lit Fest, to celebrate the interconnectedness between Nepal and India. I think I'll just stop at that because of time limit.
So, Akanshya, the good part is you are being very brave, so grateful to you. Another thing is Nepal, in all probability, is going to be the exclusive country partner of BLF 2025. Okay. This is being done. So Nepal is going to be the only country partner.
Thank you. And I can see that because I'm the only person from Nepal sitting in this panel.
BLF secretary is here from Regency, who certainly would like all of us to be there and contribute in best possible manner. Now coming to the next speaker, it's very tricky because my good friend Rudro even can miss the deadline while working for Times of India. Another friend who is working for NDTV can't miss the deadline. So first NDTV, then Times of India. No, first you, then see. Because he is so dear to me and so close to me, I can keep him waiting for a long time.
ओके थैंक यू अतुल जी, बहुत शुक्रिया आपका और PHDCCI का, और जो हमारे यहाँ पर श्रोता बैठे हैं उनके लिए भी, क्योंकि इतना पेशेंस है उनके पास, आमतौर पर होता नहीं आप लोगों को आजकल, हमें नहीं होता, आपसे क्यों एक्सपेक्ट करें। तो इंडिया और वर्ल्ड की बात हम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं। अभी कुछ वर्षों में हमने देखा है कि कैसे वी ट्राई टू रिमेंबर एवरीथिंग विच वाज ग्लोरियस इन द पास्ट एंड वी ट्राई टू कवर अप विच इज़ नॉट सो गुड इन द प्रेजेंट. So that is one of the most important facts. Let's not do a cover up. When we are living in today's world, when there are so many things which are constantly changing, खासकर geopolitical situation जो है लगातार बदल रहा है, ऐसे ऐसे प्लेयर्स इसमें आ रहे हैं जो प्रेडिक्ट करना बहुत ही मुश्किल है. Now we cannot predict what Trump would do next, and he is one of the movers and shakers. We cannot say कि कुछ लोगों के कहने से या कुछ सोचने से बदलता कुछ भी नहीं है या कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है, क्योंकि when the person is president of America, it matters quite a lot. When he says that I'm not going to pay for something, that means quite a lot. When he says that I'm going to send out Indians in military planes, handcuffed and shackled, that actually hurts our dignity. So let's not say that it does not matter. What we want today, what we should be looking at today is how cautious we can. जो हम इतिहास से सीख सकते हैं. हमने बहुत कुछ बहुत अच्छा किया है, लेकिन उसके बारे में कहकर अभी हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि हम शांति से बैठ जाएं. हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि हमने दुनिया को ज़ीरो दिया, शून्य से हमने उनको अवगत कराया, लेकिन क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं कि आज की तारीख में हम हमारे जो लोग हैं, our own people, our skill, our talent, we shouldn't be pushing them ahead. We shouldn't be supporting them. Because when the US said that we are not going to take any Indians anymore unless and until they are talented, what should we be doing? We should be creating something for them here, the environment here, the opportunities here, and every other situation there where they can really do well, and we don't, they wouldn't want to go somewhere else. Why should they be looking at Europe or US to actually reach the pinnacle of their dreams? That is something we should learn from past and apply in the present. आपने आकांक्षा जी आपने कलिंगा की बात की, बेहद शर्मनाक घटना है वो, और हम जब देख रहे थे सारी चीज़ें जब सामने आ रही थी, it was really shocking. And I was thinking, we haven't learned anything. I mean, we have learned so many things, but that is one basic thing, that sensitivity, which we don't seem to show. Why does a directive has to go from central government or a Ministry of External Affairs for something to be taken up like this? Why are students who are just there, who are there to study, who came trusting that India is a partner, India is a country which is so close to their hearts, there have been civilizational relationships, and they would be safe there. Why should they be thrown out on the streets and asked to go back home because a sad incident occurred? I mean, ये चीज़ें जो हैं उनसे चाहे वो पड़ोस हो, चाहे सात समंदर पार की बात हो, हमें सीख कर उससे आगे बढ़ना है. बात सिर्फ यहाँ तक नहीं है. There is also much more, because I was in a function some days back and there was one diplomat who was talking about Europe and the US, and he said, it seems like 1939. Now we know what happened 1939 and after 39 and after that. लेकिन क्या सिचुएशन वही है? क्योंकि अगर आप देखें तो कुछ फैक्टर्स जो हैं सिमिलर लगते हैं, लेकिन दुनिया बहुत बदली हुई है. दुनिया इसलिए बदली हुई है कि देयर कैन नॉट बी अ वॉर एंड यू वुड नॉट सी इट. I work in television and I see that the wars are televised. You see things which are happening, even if things are those which people would want to hide, they come to the forefront, not only because of the journalists, because you have a phone in your hand, every citizen has a phone, you have a camera, and things come out unfiltered. As journalists, we try to give it a context, we try to give some balance to it. We try to see that it is not a one-sided narrative. So what I am saying is that we have to look at our histories, not only India, our neighborhood, the world, even our personal ones, and then look forward, learning from it and applying the new situation which is there. I think I'll keep it short. Thank you.
The problem is looming large, no doubt. Rudro, you have been to many difficult terrains, Ukraine and other places. Don't stop, cover the ground from Nepal to Ukraine, wherever you want, please.
Right, thank you so much, Atul. There is no denying that India today finds itself in a sweet spot. But it is also very important to understand why we find ourselves in this sweet spot. If we are going to chart a successful path forward, yes, of course, we need to go back in history and see why we have arrived at this moment. But at the same time, we need to take the right lessons from history and this particular moment that the world is going through. So if we just kind of step back and go into history, we will realize that all the troubles in the world today, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Israel, Palestine, it's because of ongoing conflict between nations and nation states. You know, nation states are a relatively new phenomena in the history of human civilization. It started with, I think, the treaties of Westphalia in 1648, when, you know, the European states at that time, or what were European empires actually, they decided that, okay, let's stop fighting and let's, come up with some ground rules, and, we will not interfere in each other's domain. That was the beginning of the idea of nation states. Now, but the nation state, the concept of nation state was not concretized until the Second World War. It was only after the Second World War that nation states and sovereignty of nation states became the cornerstone of international law. However, what we see is that, that was not the end of the story. Fukuyama said that, okay, after the fall of the Soviet Empire, or the Soviet Union, that, okay, the West has won, this is the end of history. That was the height of Western intellectual arrogance. The story did not finish, it continued. And, the nation, what we have seen, that the nation is striking back at the nation state. And that's why today, whether it's, Russia, Ukraine, or Israel, Palestine, or the other theaters of conflict in West Asia, whether it's Yemen, Syria, we see this constant push and pull between nation and nation states. Now, why India is in a sweet spot? Because India, right now, finds itself in an amazing position where there is a lot of synergy between the Indian nation and the Indian nation state. So it's because of this synergy between the Indian nation and the Indian nation state that we all of a sudden we are finding ourselves in this golden moment where everyone is looking to us and our voice is being heard in the world. That we can actually, for the first time in modern history, give direction to the rest of the world, and everyone is looking to us for to show the path forward. And having realized that, we should also know that this moment in history will not last forever. So we have actually a very small window where we have to maximize our opportunities, and that is where, realizing our strengths, accepting our weaknesses, and working on them and improving on them comes in. So we have about, given our demography, given our, the state of our economy, given the sudden cultural renaissance that we are experiencing, we have about 20 to 30 years in which to realize our national goals, or the national aims. And if we fail to do that, in the next 20 to 30 years, we would have already missed the bus. So it is very important to realize this and work on our strengths and not fall for the hubris that the West had fallen for, with Fukuyama saying that, end of history, the West has won. No. This is an opportune moment in history where that we find ourselves in. China, for example, as Ms. Archana was saying, recognizes this. If you look at the Chinese white papers that have been produced in the last 10 years, all of them says that the world is going through a churn, it is going through realignments, and this is providing us with huge opportunities. It is for us to recognize these opportunities and take advantage of these opportunities. Unless we do that now, instead of, let's say, indulging in polarization, diverting attention, this and that, we will miss the bus. And so it is very important that we take full advantage of this moment to realize Prime Minister's call for a Viksit Bharat, and we have only 20-30 years to do that.
Very well said, Rudro. So now 1 minute session for each one of us, barring me, and that will be a quote-unquote session. So starting from you.
What is
You have
it?
to quote or unquote something, what you said.
No, I think, as I said earlier, we were great, we are great, and we will be great.
Taking on from what Mr. Rudroneel said, I'd just like to say, as a student of history, It's always technology that has won. The why small countries like Netherlands and England were able to rule over the world was technology and industrialization. And China is really investing in its technology. Every day now they're registering more patents than even the US. It is technology, and now even more so with robots and AI and all, the number of people is not going to count. It's going to be technology, and that's where we were superior in ancient times. Our science and technology was advanced. We are not now, but that's where we need to go. Otherwise, as he said, we may find ourselves in a very different place in 20 or 30 years.
Well, I would say that I agree with Rudro that we are in a sweet spot, but 20 to 30 years, I think 10 years is like max I would give.
No, that's the window. That's
Okay,
the window.
that is very optimistic window, I would say. But right, so we cannot miss the bus. We need to remember the lessons of the past. But also I would say one thing which is very important, that while we follow the money, we shouldn't sell our souls.
Right, 20 to 30 years is the maximum that we have, and after that, it'll be too late. So all I will say is that, the 3 W's: work, work, work. This is the time to shine. This is the time to, sort of put ourselves, to our strengths. To just kind of focus so that we realize the dream of a developed country, and we cannot rest. Thank you.
I will just add to your work. I wish India would work and take its neighborhood along with it in its arduous journey. Second point is we must work on our interconnectedness. The people-to-people connect between India and Nepal is far more important than anything to us right now. I hope it is worked and built up upon.
Thank you. India is working. So we are